What do you think will be the future fraud trends from current economic climate? Definitely more first-party fraud. Um, I think those new fraudsters, those opportunity fraudsters, who just entering the game, they realizing that uh, fintech companies and crypto companies are great targets for them to operate and to execute their frauds and their schemes. Simply because they understand that in reality, the ability of a small startup to fight back is not as big traditional banking institution, but also they realize that even if they commit fraud and they will get caught, nobody will report this type of fraud anywhere. So basically, even if I'm a fraudster, this will not appear on my credit report. So no reports will go out to the bureaus. I think that with the BNPL industry now starting to query the bureaus and actually doing some type of soft pulls whenever they provide credit for users to use with the buy now, pay later options that they offer, I think I believe the fintech industry will eventually, maybe not for onboarding, but for some type of products and some type of access to products, will start doing also soft pulls and also start reporting bad actors to the bureaus. And I think it's essential, and we will probably be there in the next few years. I also think that from money laundering type perspective, especially in the US, where you have all the P2P platforms that very hard to keep track on how money moving from one wallet to another. And basically, in reality, you can have one person today holding dozens of wallets and just shifting money to make sure that this money disappears, and it will be much harder to track. I think we will need to see more regulation for those P2P platforms and make sure they report what they're supposed to report, because I still feel like we're not in a good place in terms of monitoring P2P activity. And also, if you talk about P2P, we need better to define who is liable for fraud on those platforms. So, for example, if I use let's say Zelle and somebody scams me, like who's liable for it at the end of the day? I think it's still wide open, and there's need for more regulation around those platforms. Another thing I think that will trend, and it keeps me very, very curious, is how fraudsters will incorporate deepfake technology into their schemes. So, and it pretty much relates to the synthetic questions that we answered before. So, if you think about it, up until now, the biggest problem with synthetic identities was that they didn't have a real life presentment, right? So yes, there is an identity, it's online, it might have some bank accounts associated with it, credit cards, but there's no face, right? There's no like real face. And fraudsters don't like showing their own face and don't like put their own faces on IDs, and don't like to go on Zoom calls with their real face. So I think it will be super interesting to see how fraudsters would start leveraging the real-time deepfake technology in order to orchestrate fraud attacks. So basically, if I need to pass document verification, right? How do I use deepfake to do that? If I need, for example, even to do a job interview and penetrate company from the inside, if I want to do some espionage, can I use deepfake to make myself look like a different person? So I think it will be super interesting. And I would also will ask you to go to our blog section on Unit 21 and read the AML report that we shared a few days ago. I think it's super interesting and have some very cool insight about how we actually think the industry of money laundering and anti-money laundering will look in the next few years.